Looks like we have some folks joining. So as everybody joins, I'm going to send this question in the chat. It's the same question we put to you last week about, just as you're joining, you can look at this. Just questions about whether or not you have questions about the grant financial management division, and anything in the manual or FAQs, or if you have any questions about being a pass-through entity, these are things that OVW is inquiring, wanting to know from you. So also we'll pass your answers on. You can put them in the chat if you do have any of those questions. So I'm putting them right up at the top so we can have them and you can go back to them if something occurs to you, especially as we're working on the website today. I'm thinking, and as Mary and Courtney are going to be walking us through things, there might be points and questions that occur to you that you want to raise, or that are flashing back. So we've got a couple minutes after. We've got a nice group. So why don't we, is food an allowable expense? Lori?
Yeah, that's my question.
That's a question. Oh gosh, there's such a history about food. And
I know.
and
It's easy if we just say no food ever.
yes, and I can't even begin. Financial training by these are good. Thank you, Laura. Let's put these in. I know we're going to grab the chat and pass them on. These are not questions we're answering today, but they are questions that OVW will get answers to. And I guess, Mary, you can talk about how you might want to interim get some answers to folks. But welcome everybody. It's 5:03, so let's get the show on the road, as they say. Hi, my name is Robin Hassler Thompson. I'm a consultant also, and am fortunate to be working with the STOP administrators, the TA project, the STAAR project, and I'm really happy to be with you all today again. Today, our focus is to look at the new website and to look at the stopgrants.org. Am I remembering that right? Oh my God, it's been a long day. Stopgrants.org, right? Good. First thing, remember the name of the website, and also talk about the online training and what's there. So when we do our intros today, what I'd ask you to, and let me just go through and ask my colleagues to say hello and to introduce themselves. And then I'm going to ask you all this question for you to introduce yourself, which is, have you had a chance to look at the new website? Any comments or questions? How many of you have actually tooled around on a little bit? And then you can share those that you have or you haven't. And if you have any questions, you can share those. That'll help Mary and Courtney in their presentation, and maybe you won't have to go through some things that they were planning on. So let me start off with my colleagues at ALSA, if you want to say hey, and we'll take it from there.
Yep. Hey, everybody. I'm Mary Seifman with the also STAAR project.
I'm Courtney Kataskis. I'm also with the Also STAAR project. And Marisol Giroux, also with the STAAR project.
Hey. All right. And let me start. Deb, I think you are the only non-stop administrator type on the call here on the Zoom. So why don't you tell us about yourself?
Hi, thanks for letting me join you all. I'm Deb DeBayer with the National Network to End Domestic Violence, and we provide I work specifically with the coalitions and provide TA and training and support to all the coalitions.
And have you had a chance to explore stopgrants.org?
I did. I took a little look at it and it looks beautiful. It's exciting. I actually really like, what I like is sort of seeing intuitively where I would go, because that helps me think about our website and things like that. So I don't have any specific questions, but it's great.
Okay, good. Well, thanks for that. Okay, let me ask everybody else here who's on from around the country, if you'd like to introduce yourself and let us know if you've had a chance to visit the website yet.
I'll start. This is Laura from Oklahoma, and I hate to say it, but I have not had a chance to visit the website yet, but I promise I will.
Well, that's what today's all about, Laura. It's no problem at all. So that's great. Thanks. Okay. Anyone else?
This is Lori Miller from Iowa, and I also haven't had a chance to look at it, but I know it's great. I just know it.
It is good. The online training is pretty cool too. Okay. Anyone else? Next.
This is Laura Quasme from South Dakota. I have had a chance to go on. We've pulled some of the resources to kind of get organized for our IP planning. And I at least bookmarked the Stop IPE course. I haven't started it, but I have it bookmarked to start.
Okay, good job. All right, thank you. All
I'll go
right.
next because mine's very similar. I'm Emily from Arizona. I have it bookmarked as well, and I did put the e-learning course on my calendar, but then I got distracted with Muskie, so it's definitely on my to-do list.
I can't imagine how that would distract. I just, good. Okay, Elizabeth or Tanya or Bill.
Hi, I'm Tanya from Pennsylvania. I didn't really look at it. I looked at it like for 2 seconds, briefly. I'm also in Muskie torture zone.
Muskie land.
So, but I did look at briefly. Looks good. Awesome. Can't wait to talk about it today.
That's why we're here. Excellent. Okay, Bill or Elizabeth?
No, not me either. Sorry.
It's okay. So you can say you're Bill from New York and
I'm
everything.
sorry, Bill from New York State, Stop and SASP administrator.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Well, that's why you're here today. You're going to get really expert guidance. So you're lucky. Elizabeth, Lucal, sorry. Help me.
She wrote in the chat.
Oh, good, great site and resources. Okay, from Missouri. Welcome, Elizabeth. So thank you for joining everybody. All right, so just for those who came in a little bit late, the first thing I put in the chat are 2 questions that OVW is looking for guidance from you about. If you have anything, to go ahead and throw that up in the chat, and then we will be able to pass that on and maybe, depending on the question, answer it in the interim. So without any further ado, I'd like to now turn it over to Courtney and to Mary, and to ask you to begin our program today as we journey through the new website.
Journey, yes, that's right. So we just wanted to take this time because we knew we had a feeling that you all are so busy that you hadn't had a chance to take a look at the new website and the e-learning course. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to look at there too. So we wanted to just walk you through it and at least introduce you to what's available and just navigate through it a little bit so you can see how to find the things quickly that you're looking for in a hurry, and just kind of dig into how to search through the website to get that stuff, new things that we've developed and made available that are on the website waiting for you to take a look at, and then just take a look at the course itself too. Of course, we're not going to play all the modules here, but we want to show you at least how to register, how to get in there, what the features are, what you might find, and what we'd recommend just in terms of the order of taking the course. And then we also, when we have wrapped that up, and if you guys have any questions, we for sure want to take those and answer as best we can. And then we're in the process of starting to develop our second e-learning course. So we wanted to get a little bit of input from all of you as we think through that, especially with OVW, because they have lots of ideas too. So we'd like to hear what would be most useful from all of you in your day-to-day work. So, the intent behind all of the tools and resources we create is really to support you all, to help make your jobs easier, to help you do your jobs as best you can, whether it's in your role as a federal applicant and grantee or state or grant administrator or as a leader on violence against women issues. We just really want to be there for you. So just think of us as your team in Chicago and elsewhere. So we want your feedback too. So if there's something that doesn't work for you, that you think doesn't make sense or isn't intuitive about our website, please, we want to hear that too. So we're not, we won't have hurt feelings, but we just want to make stuff better, our resources better for you. Courtney is going to now take over and walk us through the website, which is in fact stopgrants.org. We wanted to make it easy for you to find our website as well. So hopefully it's got a memorable URL. So Courtney, you can take it away.
Yeah. Hi, well, welcome everybody. And I can go ahead and walk you through the website. And I'm excited to show it off because we did put a lot of work into this, but exactly as what Mary was saying, if there's anything that you would like to see that's maybe not on our website, or anything you'd like to see in our e-learning course, definitely let us know because all of these are resources for you. So I'm going to start with the homepage. And more than anything, if you don't receive information from us, like any emails or anything like that, the first place that you can go is to join our email list. And I'll just show you what that looks like. It's just like a short survey. And sorry, it's just taking a second. I have all the other tabs pulled up. But once you enter this information on our end, we can then start sending you emails with the newest updates, any announcements we may have. Or when we put out new resources, you can also get emails for those as well. So that's just what that would look like. You would just fill in the information and sign up. So back to the homepage, which I am going to go kind of by tab, but just so you can see, you can also navigate using the homepage. So you can start by going to our resource library by clicking here, or the e-learning course, or our calendar. But I'm going to start with the new STOP Administrators tab. And this is all resources for newer STOP administrators. And so it just is kind of broken down on information kind of related to what is STOP, how can STOP be used, what is your role as a STOP administrator. But then this bottom section down here is really for resources for the STOP administrators. So this is our, sorry, just want to check the chat. Oh, okay. So this is, so when you can click on any of these. So for example, if you click on implementation planning, that will actually take you to our implementation planning toolkit. And our implementation planning toolkit, I can go over in a little bit more detail later, but just so you know, you can click and that will just take you to that resource. Same with going to our resource library, which again, I can walk you through in a little bit, our different training opportunities, our e-learning course and our calendar. So that's the new STOP administrators. So then I will take you through the implementation planning tab. And this again is kind of just an overview as to what implementation planning is, developing a comprehensive implementation plan, but really where you're going to find the most information is in this resource tab. So there's two places that you can find resources for implementation planning in this page. The first one is going to be that toolkit, which I have pulled up here. And this toolkit has a few different resources. If you've never kind of explored our toolkit before, I would definitely recommend starting with the instructions as to how to use the implementation planning toolkit and the workbook. But each of these are actually downloadable documents. So some of them, I believe one is an Excel spreadsheet. Some are like forms. So here I can just show you all what this might look like. So it'll take you to like a page that just gives you a brief like information about what the template is, and then you can click on it down here where it says download here, and it will actually download to your computer. And then it is a form that you can fill out and with your own information. So that's really helpful to have. And then also in this tab is going to be our e-learning course, which we just developed and released recently. And I can go ahead and show you what that looks like. So you can access our e-learning course a few different ways on the website. So through the implementation planning tab, you can access it there. You can access it on the homepage, and you can also access it on the new STOP administrators tab. Or you can go to training opportunities, and where it says STOP e-learning course, it'll be right there too. And so this just gives you kind of like an overview of the course and also just the different modules. It is 5 modules plus an introduction, but I'm going to show you kind of as if you had never created an e-learning course account. So what you would do to register would just be to enter all your information on this left-hand side, and you will get like a registration email that has a little bit more thorough of a survey. So that's going to ask about your like your organization and your job title, and also how long you've been in your position. And we really encourage you to fill that out to the best of your abilities. And so that's where you would register. I already have an account, so I'm going to go ahead and log in just to show you what the e-learning course is going to look like once you have created your own username and password. And the reason too that we have you create a username and password is because this, I know a lot of you said you've had this bookmarked. We know that you're very busy, and so this allows you to stop and start while saving your progress. So if you only have time for one module, each module is like 10 to 12 minutes in length. So if you only have time to watch a 10-minute module, you can go ahead and do that. And then you can log out, or it'll automatically log you out. But when you log back in, all of the progress that you've made will be saved, so you don't have to start over from the beginning. So after you create an account, this is kind of the home page, and this just gives you a little bit more information about what each module runs through, and just the learning objectives, the audience. So this is going to actually be the course. So I will show you, I can just show you all the introduction because that's the shortest one. And then also we do offer closed captioning and Spanish closed captioning. So you'll click continue. And I do just want to make sure that my computer audio is working. Okay. And you don't have to watch the whole thing, but just so you guys get an idea. Okay.
Welcome to preparing for the
Can you hear
STAAR
that?
implementation planning process.
Courtney, have you done share sound?
Yes.
Oh, you did. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have interrupted then. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Learning course focused on the STOP Formula Grants program. This course was created primarily for STOP administrators, individuals who plan for, administer, and implement STOP grants. It covers both fundamental and advanced information, making it appropriate for newer as well as more experienced STOP grant administrators. The course may also be helpful for individuals in other roles, including STOP planning committee members, individuals interested in applying for future STOP grant funding, and those who currently have a STOP grant. The course offers recommendations, guidance, and tools to build a foundation for a well-designed STOP implementation plan. The course comprises 5 modules. Module 1, analyze prior plans.
Okay. So then we'll just run through the modules, which we can continue watching if you all would like to see that. Would you like to, or, okay, yeah, I'll just finish it out. It's only a minute left. So.
And processes. Module 2, assess partnerships. Module 3, consider data to gather. Module 4, develop a grant-making strategy. Module 5, continue the planning process. Administrators who take the course will increase their knowledge about how to prepare for and design the STOP planning process, how to develop planning partnerships, how to identify, gather, and develop data, how the implementation plan informs the grant-making strategy, how to engage in continuous planning, and how to access resources for more information and guidance. While we recommend that you take the modules in the order presented, particularly the first time you take the course, you can access them in any order. If you need to stop taking a module, you can return to it later at the place you left off. Each module includes practice exercises to test your understanding of the material covered. At the end of each module, you'll find links to required and recommended resources. Clicking on a link will take you directly to that resource in the Course Resource Center. These resources are also available at stopgrants.org. Let's get started. Click the Continue button to move to the first module.
All right, so that is just the introduction, but that's kind of similar to how the entire course is. So each module has a few videos per module, usually like around 5, but each video is usually only like 2 to 4 minutes in length. And then after each video, which I can show you, and I'm able to skip forward because I've already watched the videos, but after each video in a module, there are these interactive questions to kind of reiterate the information, just encourage you to think critically, and really retain to just what you've learned in the past few minutes. So the entire course in total is around an hour, but like I said, you can come and go with your progress saved. And once you've completed the course too, you will also get a certificate that you can download and you can print out. And within the course, some videos will mention certain resources. So you can click on those resources in the videos themselves, but also we have this resource center up at the top that will also have all of the resources that were mentioned in these videos. So you can see some of them, like the toolkit, which I showed you all earlier, that is going to be accessible in the resource center. So yeah, so that is our e-learning course. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you all the resource library, which any resources that we had that are also in the e-learning course are also going to be available in our resource library. So let me show you how to kind of search this and what's available in it. So first, it is broken down by categories. So depending on what sort of resources you're looking for, if you're looking to focus in on a specific issue or a specific population, you can search by category, or you can also come over here on the left-hand side and search by a specific keyword. So I believe like human trafficking, you can search that, and any resource that has anything to do with human trafficking is then going to be pulled up. So you'll see shortly. So all of these here. And within our resource library, we have a lot of different things available. So we have old webinars that we've hosted. We also have old newsletters that we've posted, or resources that just other agencies have shared with us or that we've produced and shared with you all. So there's a lot of really interesting and useful things in here. And then also you can search by tag. So that's going to be a little bit more specific than the categories. So as you can see, it's maybe by a particular issue, again, whatever you might be needing some support with. And then you can also search by media type. So for example, if you were interested in watching an old webinar, you could go to our videos, and that's going to pull up all of the webinars that we have. And then you can go ahead and click on one. And then the video itself is going to just be embedded. So you can go ahead and click play, and then that will show you the webinar and you can watch it. And then again, too, you can always come back. I know a lot of you said you've got this bookmarked. So, so the next page then I will walk you through is going to be our training opportunities. And like I said, you can access the e-learning course here, but also in like November and early December, we did host 6 sort of mini workshops. I don't know if, I think some of you might have been in attendance, but they were all about domestic violence homicide reduction and just the gaps in terms of underserved communities, and then also information about engaging with communities and information on qualitative data. So we did offer six sessions. The first ones were like the informational sessions that were more presentations, and the next ones were Q&A. We did not film the Q&A, just kind of for confidentiality, sort of like, they were more sort of like these TA clinics where they're less formal and just give you an opportunity to connect with peers. But we did film the informational sessions. So you can see part 1, 2, and 3. And similar to what I just showed you, the videos are going to be just embedded in these links. So you can go and click on them and watch the video. And then it also offers a little bit more information as to what the webinar covers. And very soon too, accompanying these videos are going to be tip sheets. And these tip sheets, I believe, are about 9 pages, but they're spread out. The information's spread out, and there's some images, but they are, yeah, they're just to accompany all of the information that was presented in these workshops, but something that you can have just right in front of you, look at, refer to whenever you need to. Okay, and sorry, just one moment. So, and then I can show you what clicking the video will do. And if you did want to review the documents, so the tip sheets that will be available soon, you'll be able to download, but you can stop and start these videos at your convenience too. Okay, and then finally, not finally, but I'm going to take us to our calendar. And this is going to have all of our events that we're going to be hosting. So all of our TA clinics for the rest of the year are in here. The NGO is in here. And then any webinar or future trainings or any sort of event that we're going to be hosting is going to be in this calendar. And then also with like links to the event. So if we click on the TA clinic for today, you can see you could register right here, add it to your calendar. So really just trying to make it as convenient as possible for you to get all the information you need, and then also make it accessible for you to have it on your calendar. And then finally, in the About Us tab, it's just kind of an overview as to what stopgrants.org is, but also what the STAAR project is. And then it gives you a little bit more information about all of us here at the STAAR team, and then also our consultants who we do a lot of work with, and then our partners who we also do a lot of work with, events, we all support each other. So yeah, that is a run through of sort of the e-learning course, the website. Does anyone have any questions, anything that they would like to see more of?
I will say that the toolkit that Courtney mentioned, and thank you, Courtney, for that run through. That was very comprehensive, and that yeah, it should give you sort of a roadmap at least to this website. Some of the tools and resources will look familiar to those of you who have been around for a little while. Like the toolkit, for example. I know that Bill, you've seen it. If you're just a couple of years into your position, you may not have utilized the implementation plan template that Courtney showed us. That was that downloadable Word document. It's pretty straightforward and pretty easy to use, just a straight up Word template, but it has some fields that can either serve, number one, as your document that you will ultimately download and send to OVW as your implementation plan, or that can be plugged into the grant application itself. Or you can use it as a way to sort of placehold the text that you're working on, data that you're collecting and analyzing. So you can use it as sort of a working document or your final document, or both. Let's see, what else can I say about that? It is intended to be used and can be used alongside that workbook, the workbook that Courtney also referred to. The workbook is, oops, excuse me, that's my alarm, sorry about that. The workbook is kind of a backup document and is intended to help you keep track of the organizing and the outreach to members of your planning committee and your larger consultation too. So there are places to hold, for example, your attempted contacts to someone who you'd like to have sit on your planning committee, or someone you want to get in touch with and get input in that sort of larger consultation way, or in as a survey taker, or a member of a focus group, or a larger meeting you want to hold somewhere in the state. And it's not something that has to be turned into OVW. So I don't want anybody to think that that's something that has to be submitted alongside their plan, but it's really just supposed to help you stay organized. Also, it's a place that it can also serve as backup documentation, because there are statutorily required entities that you have to consult and coordinate with. And you have to include in your plan a discussion of how you organized your planning process and who you work with. But you also want to be able to show that you did attempt to make an outreach to, and you did use reasonable efforts to try to reach individuals, organizations, other entities. And so you want to have a place where you're storing that information. And that means you have to not just, so there are places to record the methods that you attempted to use to outreach to folks, so that you can show that you tried calling, you tried emailing, you in the days when we could make personal visits, you might have driven somewhere to meet with someone. So it's a place for that. And then there's a tab in that workbook for consultation with tribes. For those of you that have a number of state or federally recognized tribes or both within your state, it may help with organizing that information too, and also serving as backup documentation for those efforts too. The way that we created the workbook is also to make it customizable by you. So you can change those drop-down menus that appear in some of the fields, and you can customize those with your own variables that you want to input into there. So again, it's just intended to be a tool to help you, not required at all. I will say though that OBW has reported to us that those folks who have used the template, it's clear to OBW and it makes it easier for them to review and approve your plan. So that's what they've told us anyway, that it's pretty clear to them, just in terms of organizing. It's formatted the way they want it as well. It has clear headers, and they like to be able to follow their implementation plan checklist. And it's just, I mean, you're grant administrators, when you're reviewing plans, if an app or an application, that if the items or the elements of the application that you want everybody to address, if they're sort of all over the place, if they're out of order, it's harder to find them. It makes your review process a lot longer. It's harder to get somebody the points that they need to make them a fundable application. So it's the same for OBW. They follow that same process. And then as a result, you're going to get that follow-up email asking for clarification, asking for you to address points that maybe they didn't see enough information on. So this template is just intended to help you organize yourself so that there's less of that back and forth, and that you get your plans approved as soon as possible, so you can then draw down your funds, make your awards, all of that. So it's just supposed to help you help yourself and speed up that process. So those are just a couple of parts of that toolkit. And then the other one is one that Robin created. It's that at a glance guide that helps you just take a look at, it's sort of a year-long, what you could be doing each month to prepare for the implementation planning process. And sorry if you hear screaming outside. There are a couple of kids playing right outside my window, one of which is mine. They're enjoying the many, many inches of snow outside. And then there is a more annotated, a longer tool. It's called the guidance tool. And it's the OBW checklist, but very annotated, with examples, with guidance, with suggestions for how you might depict certain kinds of information, how you might refer back or between the different sections or elements that you have to address. So yeah, there it is right there. So that's definitely a longer read, but you might want to have it out as you're writing or as you're planning for developing the plan, to see how you might start to organize your thinking and organize your plan development process.
Mary, that what's up now is the at a glance, the month to month one.
Oh, right.
But I wanted to also just mention that, and I think, we'll talk about the website and overall, but this is so useful. I was thinking back to the days when I was doing the stop planning process. I can't tell you how many of these things would be like, oh my God, I can't believe this, this exists now because it's so great. But this is something too that you can share now with all your stop planning team members. So they get a bird's eye view of what you're going through and what your process is going to be and what you'll be expecting from them, possibly. Also what they're going to be thinking about, they can contribute toward. But the website as a whole, I think, is enormously helpful for you to just share with your partners, with some of those people who are like in other state departments that, you want to kind of explain to them what this plan is so you can see their planning process and kind of plug into that. They can understand more what you're looking for. It's just going to help you do your job so much more. I mean, easier, I think. It's really great. But anyway, that's why this was a fun document to work on. It was really with an eye toward how you can share it with other staff members. Well, your supervisor too, to let them know what the expectations are, but definitely your VAWA STOP planning team.
Yep. And then so Courtney mentioned that we're going to be releasing 3 tip sheets that accompany or really enlarge upon those domestic violence homicide reduction workshops that we held in November and early December. So really those workshops were short. They were very, very dense. They were 30 minutes long each, and there was a lot of information in each. And these tip sheets really expound upon, provide more information about the ideas that the presenters talked about and shared. And because it was so dense and they were so short, and the concepts were pretty deep, and required probably a lot of thinking about and parsing out, the tip sheets do that, or at least do part of that for you. So they are intended to help you think about number one, tip sheet number 1, about domestic violence homicide, what the data say, but also what do the current models do and how responsive are they to communities of color in reducing DV homicides. And the fact is, many of the models that are widely used, they require a contact to systems, to police mostly. And for communities of color, that's often not an option. It's not something, that's not the first thing you're going to do. And so it helps, and it sort of offers the possibility of exploring with communities of color what might be working better and what might you as STOP administrators support, lift up, and help to scale up within your role. And then the second worksheet is about, tip sheet rather, is about engaging with communities to learn more. So how is that done? And then third, looking at qualitative data and how to gather it. So, and that is really done in concert with community engagement. While the issue that is at the heart of these 3 tip sheets is domestic violence homicide, the idea behind these tip sheets is that you can use these strategies or these ideas to address all types of issues that you're handling under STOP or that are violence related. And so you can really take these ideas, these strategies, these concepts, and apply them to any other issue that you might be working on, especially as it relates to communities of color and racial equity.
Mary and Courtney, that is awesome. And what I'd like to do now, is there anything else, Mary, or would you like to, would you both like to have some Q&A and comments? I see some comments in the chat about that it looks great and all the information is in one place. I'd also add that it's really cross-referenced well, so that one tab on resources, for example, you might be looking at underserved, but you'll find information about underserved populations in other areas as well. So that purposeful redundancy, maybe, I don't know, but it's a way for you to make sure you get kind of the whole world of information when you go down one road looking for something. So, so is there anything that anybody would like to comment on? Any questions within any of the tabs, or anything you're particularly working on now that you'd like to have highlighted? Any reactions?
It looks like, Bill, you had your hand raised? Or...
Yeah, I don't want to cut anybody off. I think this is amazing. I wish I had looked at it, but now I am looking at it. And I was scrambling, trying to pull all this stuff together into my own files. And just accessing our files from home is a giant nightmare, because we have secure servers and we have to go through the video display interface and all that stuff. So this is going to make that part a whole lot easier. And then I just want to reiterate something that was said earlier, is that those of you who are new and haven't done this before, follow the plan. follow the template. Use the template. It won't make your application will go a lot faster, and it does make it easier, just like the folks were talking about. So this will be my third round doing one of these things, and it gets easier each time. But this was like starting halfway around the track when the gun goes off. You know, this is really a decent resource.
Great, thank you, thank you. And yeah, you've seen it from both sides now, so you know how valuable this is. And really, you don't get points for originality when you're submitting your plans. You get points for following the form and giving them what they want in the order they have laid it out. The other thing is that it strikes me that it also saves you time, so that you can spend more time doing outreach to important partners, or doing the kind of substantive work and not worrying about the minutia or the detail or how long something has to be or in what order. You're given the guidance. And the other part about that plan, I think it was the very first document you showed under implementation planning, where, in documents, sometimes when you often see, you do reviews and you have the comments on the side. I just noticed how helpful it is to have the toolkit comments be right there on the right-hand margin. So you can hyperlink directly to the thing they're talking about and be able to pull up that piece. So even before, your website was great, but you had to log out of that. You had to go to something else and pull up that checklist or whatever it was. So you can do that hyperlink, hop right to the section that you're working from. So that's pretty awesome in terms of helping with your organization as well, and just saving you time. Anybody have any thoughts or anything else you want to add about this? Any questions? Would you like to now, one of the things I will tell you that I thought was really great that we did, if there is a topic you're interested in and, maybe you don't see it or whatever, you can get that information to Courtney and to Mary, and they'll make sure that they can put a tab in it, put it in a keyword search for you. Say you wanted to know more about stalking, and I can't believe you would forget stalking, but say you didn't, then you can immediately ask Courtney and she can pull something together and help you navigate around that to find whatever information you're working on. So know that that's there. Okay, anybody have their hand up? I'm trying to look or see any other comments. Okay, all right. Well, great job. Also, high five. So I think that would probably then do a wrap for us on the e-learning. I guess when we come back, Mary's question was, what would be a good second online e-learning tool that could be helpful to you? It seems like for these clinics anyway, we've really gotten a lot of participation around outreach to underserved populations, unserved populations, tribes. Some of those tips are also really, really helpful. But any ideas about the second online tool? Anybody have any thoughts now?
And I can also just jump in and tell you what what OVW has suggested too, and then you might want to tell us if you think that's a good idea or if that's going to be helpful to you too. So I'm also curious to hear about that. So we can do it either you want to just toss out some ideas, or I can tell you what the current thinking is, and then you can weigh in.
Should we exit the website now and just have a conversation? Okay, great. All right, thank you. Thank you, Courtney. I think you should tell them what OVW is thinking about.
Okay, yeah, that yeah, I kind of figured that might be. the way we do this. So, what they would like, what they're telling us they would like is a resource, a course that is specifically geared toward newer STOP administrators, that is kind of a primer or gives everybody the fundamentals on STOP grants. And so when I took a look at this, they gave me sort of like a list of different kinds of topics or areas that they wanted everyone to know about. So what I did was I organized that into what looked to me to be sort of fundamentals on each of the roles that STOP administrators play. And the first being federal applicant for federal funds and a federal grantee, first of all. So work with the Justice Department, all of those functions like designation of a federal agency or a state agency, sort of what's required in an application. All of that stuff, the federal grant cycle, GFMD, submitting an application, all of that stuff, sort of pre and then up to post-award. And then the second piece being a state grant administrator. So all the stuff that you do pre all the way through post-awards to get the funds out there, manage, monitor, all of that stuff. And then third, I added this because I think it's such an important one. And it's one that we've emphasized in our work, and that is to be a leader in your state or territory on violence against women issues and all of the crime areas and everything that is related to keeping survivors safe. So, and some of that touches upon the things that we just talked about, like partnerships, like thinking about communities that you want to focus on, emphasis on underserved communities and culturally specific folks, community engagement, qualitative data to learn about survivor experiences, and all of that, and how you can take all of that and sort of lead the state with that funding strategy that you have to create in mind. So, and then sort of finding support for all of those different kinds of roles. So I'd love to hear from you. We would love to hear from you about whether or not you think that information is helpful. It's sort of the kitchen sink, really, and it's with everything, but yeah.
Any reactions or thoughts about that? Okay, good bucket, says Bill. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. You have to break that up.
If you could also, I know that all the federal departments are so different, so I don't know what this would look like, but this is the first time I've worked on a Department of Justice grant versus maybe like a SAMHSA grant or one of the other federal departments. And there are some key differences with STOP. And so maybe that would be covered with everything, just that basic, but I feel like highlighting that kind of stuff can be really helpful for new, because you're still, the fundamentals of administering a grant are still the same, no matter what federal department, but I feel like those key Department of Justice differences, like implementation plans, like things like that, are things that other departments don't have.
So differences from, sort of major differences from VOCA funds, for example, maybe that's.
Or yeah, or just like even higher level Department of Justice versus SAMHSA, or like another health health services grant. Yeah,
Okay.
some of this stuff carries over, like the no food, that kind of goes from department to department. But those key differences, like I've never had a grant where the percentages have to be split up. So that was like brand new to, thankfully I have fiscal people that can calculate all that stuff for me. But that was brand new to STOP when I switched over.
Okay, that's great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. I also am going to quick throw out a question that since we're doing some brainstorming about many things, just in terms of these clinics as well, we're putting together the clinic topics for the whole year. So if there's anything that you all want to see emphasized, I just put in some ideas. one of the issues that, Mary, on your last one about leadership and your substantive knowledge, I can't emphasize that more. And I know it's got to be hard when you're doing reports for Muskie and everything else and writing plans. How can you be an expert on DV homicide or firearms statistics? So if we could, in kind of like nutshells, bring you substantive information where you can hear from like leading experts around the country, and a lot of the people that we interact with, they know what STOP is, so they're not going to talk to you about stuff that's not relevant to STOP, but would have a broader application like firearms issues and where you get the latest data and where you can't find certain information and all the rest of it. But I wanted to just throw that out because I'm working now to try to pull together for also this list of what would be interesting to you. So does anything also come to mind around any topics for these clinics that you'd like to hear about? Like stuff going on in your state too, or just nationally. Like I put in violence against women in the military. CBS has just done like such a huge, I don't know if you've been watching, but CBS has had a huge focus on and rape in the military and other sorts of sexual harassment issues and what the military's response has been. And there certainly is a lot of history around there. But again, these are topics that can help you kind of stay on top of your game substantively, and also help you provide guidance to your subgrantees who might come to you with these questions and just need a referral to a national resource or something like that.
Yeah, and that said too, so our STOP email list reaches, unless it's something that is really specific to STOP administrators, we reach as much as possible the STOP subgrantees from around the country as well. So currently we have the list of 2019, calendar year 2019 STOP subgrantees. And so that's, I don't know, something like 2,600 different entities around the states and territories. So we try to make sure when we restart our substantive newsletters this year, we try to make sure that we're including those kinds of topical articles and substantive issues so that those folks who are doing work in the field, they get that stuff within this context as well. So we're trying to reach them as well as you with some of our tools and resources too.
Okay, that sounds so great, Mary. And I had no idea it was so giant. That is terrific. Because even if subgrantees cycle off and cycle in and out of STOP, it doesn't matter because they can come back again another time where they're applying under VOCA, and all this information is only going to be helpful to them. So that would mean, to Bill's point about having access to subawards. So on these calls, that on some substantive calls, then we can say, you guys, send the word out to your subgrantees, do it from also as well, and then have them join. That would be fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We've had subgrantees join some of our webinars, maybe even one or two of those workshops that we did on DV homicide. So they're always welcome too. I don't know if they necessarily want to join a TA clinic like this, but it's really geared towards STOP administrators, but really pretty much anything else, they would be welcome to join. And as I said in the chat earlier, anybody who wants to join our list, it's not limited to you guys as STOP administrators. Anybody who wants to join is fine. We're not screening for, STOP eligibility or anything like that. So it's open.
And one of the things we might do too, like I'll announce now, our next one of these, we're going to have another Ask Marnie session on March 8th, I believe it is. So that might not be interesting for subgrantees. That's you all, but if they are, but Marnie, she does have a lot of great, insights and things. But anyway, so that's the next one for us at the beginning of March. I'm not sure about the next one. The next month is April, Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So we're going to have substantive presentations from experts in that field. And we might do that at the second one in March. But stay tuned on that. So, Anybody have any ideas you want to throw out off the top of your head? Deb, are you about to say something?
Yeah, I was going to just add in that at some point in the next couple or few months, it's very likely that the Violence Against Women Act will be reauthorized, and there's all kinds of draft language in the proposal. Some of you may be aware of this already, but it might change some of the formulas for the STOP funding, and it's still a work in progress, but you might want to keep a little spot in a future clinic once that passes to have some, we'd be happy to share, or I'm sure whoever wants to, just to make sure you get the word out.
I think it would be excellent to do that. And I think you're on top of it. It would be really great to hear, what happens, what comes out of that. Thank you. That's a great thing to keep in mind. Yeah. Yeah. We're laboring in the fields out here. Sometimes we just don't stay in touch with what's happening in DC, so that's exciting. All right. Well, we've got 3 minutes to go. Emily says, where do you access the draft language? So where could they get some of the drafts that are happening? Is there any markup now that people can access, Deb?
I don't know that there's a public draft. It comes out of the different committees, and the different staffers are sharing it with folks. So I know our policy staff are reviewing it, but I don't know that there's a public one that's circulating yet.
Okay.
But I'll find out and let you know.
Okay, yeah, stay tuned on that. And also you can always be in touch with your coalitions. If you have a good rapport with your coalitions, and just talk to them on like a state administrator by state coalition level. I used to, we'd always get kind of shared information that way about what was hot in Washington and what was going on. Okay, great. Thank you. And any other thoughts? Anything else y'all have for the good of the order? Okay, well, I think that's it then. Courtney, great job walking us through the new website. Mary, as ever, always great information from you as well on all of this, and all of you, thank you for your participation. These are all questions that are ongoing questions, by the way. Feel free to shoot an email to any of us on things you want to see in these clinics. Keep it in mind for the next one. Just ask anytime. Hey, we really would like to see something on stalking, and let us get the stalking experts lined up for you. And you might be hearing from your sub-grantees that they want that info as well. Okay, so if the sexual assault advocates can get drafts of the proposed reauthorization, SAA, is that what? Yeah. Okay, well, let's state administrating agency, I'm just guessing. State, it would be good for you to get that info. So let's see if we can get that as soon as we can get our hands on the latest info to be able to share it with you if you all can't get it, Bill.
That's critically important. I know in our state, the governor asks us what agenda items they have for the Washington office, and they listen to us. So we don't know what's going on. We have no idea which way to nudge that team. So if we could get our hands on that stuff, it would be really good. That's
good to know. Okay, so Deb's going to try to, sounds like you're going to try to find out, and I can also try to find out. I mean, I sit on one subcommittee, but there are several. So there are, many drafts floating around. So we can to find out what's most current and see what's relevant for you all, and to at least tell you what's being floated out there.
Good. Laura, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, because I think it's hard when our coalition got their hands on some of that and we did not. And it was a very awkward conversation to know that the coalition was notified of potential authorization changes before the state administering agency of STOP funds were. And so it was one of those, okay, well, hold up, we'll try and find out what we know. How did you guys get notified of this before we did? And so if there's any type, like when those changes come out, it's helpful if we can at least be in the loop and given the same information that coalitions are given.
Right. I mean, at this point, let me clarify. It's not that there's a formal draft that's out there. The coalitions, many of them are working to advocate for changes to strengthen the laws. And so there's multiple versions out there. The sexual assault coalitions, domestic violence coalitions, they're all working sometimes in, collectively, sometimes individually. And as soon as there is a draft that comes out, I'll definitely share it with also in that sense. But right now there are so many different ones that there's no one draft. So the coalitions may in fact know about a draft that they're working on, but it might be not be the final one as well. That's the way it works. The coalitions are quite often behind the scenes doing the advocacy, not even behind the scenes, doing lobbying on this. So
Right.
I just wanted to make sure you all knew that we are actually potentially seeing something coming out in the next few weeks. So that's like the heads up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all right. These are drafts, and these are things that advocates are advocating for. We don't know if they're going to end up in any final version at all. Maybe not even something that's, introduced into an amendment on the floor. So these are sometimes, realistic, sometimes pie in the sky, and it's all being talked about right now. So, right, agreed. But we will definitely keep our eyes out. And sometimes we're out of the loop as well. So it's a sort of a closed group that is doing the national work. And so we try our best to find out what that is, but we're not always privy to that either.
And Laura, do you have another comment, and Bill as well? I see your hand is up, Laura, but I think maybe you said what your piece was. Bill?
Yeah, I'm just going to be reaching out to Connie and Joanne tomorrow, finding out what they know, because the other thing is, and even if we don't have specific language and there's a bazillion versions, it'd be good to know what the key issues are, even if we had a button list of the issues, so that we could perhaps present a united front and let them know what the governor might be able to get behind, and kind of go at it from both sides. So I'll be doing that locally, and I'm sure if they have copies, they'll give them up.
Yes. Okay, good. And plus, I mean, in a perfect world, you'd hope that advocates that we're talking about the STOP grant program would be consulting with the state that's, doing the STOP grant program. I mean, it just would help and to have those conversations going back and forth, so that maybe it could be some feedback that I'm sure the coalition, sounds like you've got that relationship, Bill, with your coalition. So that's great. Not everybody is in that seat, but it's something to see about working through. Okay, good. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that update. Thanks again, everybody. We're a bit past our time, but I think well worth it. And we'll see you next time. So be thinking about your Ask Marnie. This is like Ask Amy, Ask Marnie questions on STOP issues for our next meeting in March. All right. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.